Hello everyone, and welcome to today's documentary journey into one of the sweetest industries on earth, sugar. It's in our morning coffee and our desserts, and even hidden in everyday foods we rarely think about. But behind every spoonful of sugar lies an incredible story of farming technology and human effort. In the United States, sugarcane is the lifeblood of an industry that produces millions of tons of sugar each year. Vast fields stretch across Louisiana, Florida, and parts of Texas, where tall green stalks of cane sway under the warm southern sun. These regions, blessed with fertile soil and long growing seasons, are the perfect environment for cultivating this crop. In 2025, U.S. sugarcane production continues to play a vital role in the agricultural economy. Together with sugar beets, sugarcane accounts for nearly all the sugar consumed domestically. Louisiana alone produces more than 15 million tons of cane annually, while Florida contributes close to 18 million tons. Combined, these states support thousands of farming families and provide raw material for modern factories that turn cane into granulated sugar, molasses, ethanol, and even eco-friendly packaging products. But how exactly does a sugarcane stalk become the fine white crystals sitting in your kitchen? The answer is a fascinating process that begins months before harvest in the soil, where farmers carefully prepare the land for planting. Before sugarcane ever reaches its towering height in the fields, it all begins with the soil. Farmers in Louisiana, Florida, and Texas know that healthy soil means healthy cane. After each harvest season, the ground is carefully tilled, using powerful tractors and plowing machines. These machines break up the hardened layers, improve aeration, and ensure proper drainage, allowing young cane roots to spread deep and wide. But not just any soil will do. Sugarcane thrives in fertile alluvial soils, often deposited naturally by rivers like the Mississippi. These soils are rich in nutrients and have just the right texture to retain moisture without waterlogging. Farmers also test the soil's pH, aiming for a balance between 6 and 7, the sweet spot where cane can absorb nutrients efficiently. If acidity runs too high, lime is added to restore balance. Next comes the creation of furrows, deep parallel trenches carved into the earth, perfectly straight thanks to GPS-guided tractors. These furrows not only organize the planting rows, but also help direct irrigation later in the season. Unlike crops grown from seed, sugarcane propagation relies on cane sets, short stalk sections, about 12 to 18 inches long each, carrying 3 to 4 buds. These buds are like tiny engines of growth, ready to sprout roots and shoots once nestled into the soil. Modern sugarcane planters automate the entire process. As the machine moves along the furrows, it places cane sets horizontally or at a slight angle, covers them with a protective layer of soil, and ensures the right spacing for optimal sunlight and airflow. This stage is critical. Poor planting means uneven growth, wasted land, and reduced yields. With precision machinery, U.S. farmers ensure uniform rows stretching for miles across the countryside, each one destined to become part of the billions of pounds of sugar harvested annually. Once the cane sets are planted, the real work begins. Sugarcane is what farmers call a thirsty crop. In its first few months, young plants need a steady supply of water to establish strong roots. In states like Louisiana and Florida, rainfall helps, but it's never enough on its own. That's why modern farms rely on advanced irrigation systems. Drip irrigation is now the gold standard. Thin black tubes run along each row with tiny emitters placed near the roots. These drip water slowly and steadily, ensuring the soil stays moist without flooding. This method can cut water use by up to 40% compared to traditional flooding systems, making it both efficient and sustainable. In larger fields, sprinkler systems are used, creating a fine mist that falls like rain across acres of green cane. Some farmers still practice controlled flooding, especially in flat, low-lying areas. But even that is carefully managed to prevent waste. Water alone isn't enough. Sugarcane is a nutrient-hungry crop. Nitrogen for leafy growth, phosphorus for strong roots, and potassium for sweeter juice all are essential. American farmers use specialized machines that spray liquid fertilizer directly onto the fields, coating leaves and soil alike. Some farms even use drones fitted with sprayers, allowing precise application from above. This not only saves labor, but also ensures the cane gets exactly what it needs, when it needs it. Of course, farming is never free from challenges. Weeds sprout quickly between rows, competing with the cane for sunlight and nutrients. To fight this, farmers employ modern weeders machines with rotating blades that trim close to the soil without damaging the young stalks. And when pests appear integrated, pest management comes into play. Farmers monitor insect populations with field sensors and only apply treatments when thresholds are reached, minimizing the use of chemicals and protecting the environment. Year after year, these careful practices transform tiny cane shoots into fields of towering green stalks, often 10 to 15 feet high, swaying in the warm southern wind. Each plant becomes a living reservoir of sugar, waiting for the harvest season. By the time sugar cane reaches 10 to 15 feet tall, nearly a year after planting, it's ready to be harvested. This is the moment farmers wait for, when every stalk is packed with sweet juice. But getting those towering stalks out of the ground is no small task. In earlier decades, cane was harvested almost entirely by hand. Workers with machetes moved row by row, slicing the cane at the base and stripping leaves before bundling the stalks. It was back-breaking, dangerous work under the hot Louisiana or Florida sun, and a skilled worker might cut 2 to 3 tons a day. Today, that tradition survives only on very small farms, or where machines can't reach. Modern U.S. sugarcane farming looks very different. The fields now rumble with the sound of massive harvesters' machines built specifically for this tough job. These machines are equipped with powerful rotating blades at their base, adjusted to cut as close to the soil as possible. As the harvester advances, the blades slice through the stalks in clean cuts, and a gathering drum pulls the cane upright. Within seconds, the stalks are fed onto a conveyor system that runs inside the machine. Here's where technology shines as the cane travels upward. Integrated fans and rollers strip away leaves and tops. Instead of burning fields to remove leaves, a common practice decades ago, modern harvesters handle that step mechanically, leaving the organic matter behind as natural mulch. This reduces pollution and helps enrich the soil for the next planting. The cleaned stalks are then cut into uniform billets, each about 20 inches long, ideal for transport and processing. These billets drop into a large hopper on the harvester, and from there, an extending arm transfers them directly into trucks driving alongside. It's a seamless flow: cut, clean, chop, and load, all in one continuous process. A single modern harvester can cut between 50 and 100 tons of cane per hour, a staggering leap in efficiency compared to manual labor. On a large farm, multiple machines can operate in tandem, harvesting hundreds of acres in just a few days. With sugar cane valued at billions of dollars to the U.S. economy, this speed and efficiency are essential to keep up with demand. But even with machines, harvesting isn't risk-free. Timing is critical. Cane harvested too early won't have maximum sugar content, while cane left too long may begin to lose sweetness. Farmers rely on constant testing of juice samples, checking sucrose levels before sending machines into the fields. Every cut is carefully timed to ensure the crop delivers peak sweetness. Once the harvesters have done their work, the cut billets of sugar cane don't sit around for long. Sugar cane begins losing sucrose content almost immediately after it's cut, so speed is everything. Within minutes, trucks lined along the field edges are filled with freshly cut cane. These trucks, some standard semi-trailers, others specialized wagons with open tops, move in constant rotation, shuttling cane from the farm to the processing mills. In Louisiana, trucks are often seen moving in convoys toward massive sugar mills located near growing regions. In Florida, the system is even more advanced. In addition to trucks, short-line railroads are used to move entire train loads of cane straight from the Everglades fields to processing plants. This logistics network ensures that cane harvested in the morning is usually in the mill the same day, keeping sugar recovery rates as high as possible. At the mill gates, each load is weighed and tagged for traceability. Samples are taken from each batch and tested in on-site labs. Technicians measure sucrose levels, fiber content, and impurities, giving farmers a snapshot of their crop's quality and determining payments. It's a scientific checkpoint where chemistry meets commerce. The cane is then unloaded, either by hydraulic lifters that tilt entire trucks, or by grab cranes that scoop out the billets. From here, the stalks move onto long conveyor belts, heading toward the washing and crushing areas. Dust, mud, and field debris cling to the cane, so the first step is a high-powered washing process that blasts away dirt with jets of recycled water. Clean stalks mean cleaner juice, a critical factor in sugar quality. Next comes the crushing phase, where the cane truly reveals its value. Powerful steel rollers, some weighing several tons, press the stalks repeatedly, squeezing out every drop of sweet juice. Each stalk is crushed 3 to 5 times in a row, with water sometimes added in a process called imbibition to wash out the last traces of sucrose. The result? A stream of raw, greenish sugarcane juice flowing into collection tanks. What's left behind is called bagasse, the fibrous material that once formed the stalk's backbone. But nothing goes to waste. Instead of being discarded, bagasse is dried and burned in high-efficiency boilers to generate steam and electricity, powering much of the mill itself. In some plants, bagasse even produces surplus electricity that feeds back into the local grid, turning a byproduct into a renewable energy source. Meanwhile, the juice itself is far from ready to become sugar. It still contains fibers, proteins, and other impurities. To clarify it, lime is added, which causes unwanted solids to coagulate and settle out. This clarified juice then moves to massive evaporators, where it's gently boiled under vacuum conditions. Water evaporates off, and the juice thickens into a golden syrup, its sucrose concentration climbing with every stage. At this point, we're only halfway through the journey. The syrup still needs to crystallize into sugar, a transformation that will unfold in the final stages of milling. Refining begins with dissolving the raw crystals back into a hot syrup called melt liquor. This liquid is carefully filtered, often through sand beds or activated carbon columns, which strip away color and impurities. The result is a perfectly clear golden liquid. Once again, evaporators remove excess water, and the liquid enters vacuum pans where new crystals form. This time they emerge white, pure, and gleaming. After a final drying and cooling process, the sugar is ready for packaging. Automated systems weigh, bag, and seal thousands of pounds per hour, filling everything from small 1-pound kitchen bags to massive industrial sacks used by bakeries, beverage companies, and candy makers. Quality control teams continuously check samples to ensure every grain meets strict U.S. standards for purity, granule size, and moisture content. But the story doesn't end there. byproducts like molasses are transformed into animal feed ethanol fuel, or even ingredients for rum production. Bagasse, as mentioned earlier, becomes renewable fuel, or eco-friendly packaging. This circular use of materials shows how modern sugar mills waste nothing. Every part of the cane has a purpose. From fields under the hot Louisiana sun to factories humming day and night, sugar's journey is a story of resilience, ingenuity, and dedication. Farmers work through unpredictable weather, scientists innovate new cane varieties, and factory workers keep the mills running around the clock. Together, they transform towering stalks into the spoonful of sweetness that brightens our tea, flavors our cakes, and fuels celebrations across the country. So the next time you stir sugar into your coffee, take a moment to remember the thousands of hands and the incredible technology that made it possible. Behind every crystal lies a journey of science, sweat, and tradition, a true testament to American agriculture's strength and innovation. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into America's sugarcane harvest and production. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another fascinating story from the world of agriculture. Until next time, goodbye.